All right, all right, all right. Gemini 2.5 just dropped. We put it into DataGrid. And so I wanted to show you how I used it to solve a problem that everyone shares, which is that most of the advice online these days is just too generic and oftentimes comes from people who are only trying to sell you something. So in my own thinly veiled attempt to sell you something, I'm going to show you how I use DataGrid to look at a highly curated set of YouTube videos that I thought were relevant and extract some hints on how to go viral from it. So here's what the final output of my agent looked like. I asked about, hey, what are some recurring lessons from the viral video data set, which I prepared ahead of time, and how much better are they than generic web advice? And so you'll see here that our agent made a plan on how to do this. It analyzed the data set, it looked at the web, and then it compared the advice from each of them. And the response here is actually really good. I'm not just saying that because I'm biased. It correctly recognized that there were some limitations to the data set, but it still did its best to pull some insights out from those lessons. And then it did a good job of comparing that with advice pulled from the web. And when I'm looking at this, right, I can see that for my really specific niche that I built here of just educational videos, this advice is like way more specific. And compared to the web advice, which focuses a lot on strategy and SEO optimization and branding, you can really see that like a lot of the people publishing content on how to go viral on YouTube are trying to sell you some kind of service. So these like very simple tips for me were a lot easier to get started with. And so let's look at like what this data set looks like, because this is something that no other agent can do. If I fed the same amount of videos into any other agent, it simply wouldn't know what to do with it. So I prepared a couple of hours worth of videos here. They're all educational videos that went viral. And then I pulled out, summaries and analysis of like what factors led to the success and some lessons that creators can learn from it. And because all of this then gets learned by the AI agent and it gets fed back into the system, this data set enrichment approach ends up being a lot cheaper over the long term because I can ask questions over and over again without the agent having to watch everything. And I can just handle more video and more content at once and iterate on the prompts more easily. And I think that Gemini 2.5, which we just integrated, made a really big difference for us here. In these two columns, one of them I was using the old Gemini model, and the new one I was using 2.5. And I gave them the exact same prompt of watch this video, and then in a few sentences, explain the core point of the video. So if I look at how that compares, it feels like the summary with like the older Gemini models is a little bit generic and non-specific. And the summary with 2.5 is a lot more specific overall, and it feels like it's more insightful. I just get the feeling that Gemini 2.5 did a much better job of understanding and watching the video. So we're super happy and proud to have integrated Gemini 2.5 into DataGrid so early. We're super proud of our workflow here for getting an agent that can handle tons and tons of video content and extract really specific insights according to whatever prompt you want. I think this is something that's super flexible that could be used by anyone who wants to learn any particular skill. So would love to have you try it out. We have a free trial available at DataGrid. We're always listening to your feedback to try to improve more.